Coming up on this week's FAS TV, we're in the Scottish borders at Whitsome West Newton farm with farmer Andrew Dixon and butcher Ryan Briggs following their day at St Boswells auction mart. Andrew Dixon farms alongside his dad and uncle at Whitsome West Newton in the Scottish borders, which is predominantly an arable farm using grass as a break crop. Andrew and his family are passionate about producing high-quality livestock, finishing store cattle and store hogs for the local butchers market.
I like the mix of livestock and the tractor. It's nice. I think what really interests me is how they complement one another so well. So with the sheep here, the cattle here, and the arable, the grass that's grazed by sheep, then you put cattle on, so a completely different animal, so you clean it up, less reliance on worming, and then after that you have clean grass back for sheep, and then you're into wheat, so you get a good crop of wheat after the grass. So it's lots of muck back into the ground, all complementing one another. That's what sort of really interests me. When I came home, I was quite keen to establish cattle onto the farm, so we went down the route of we buy sort of smaller Limousin heifers, keep them on the farm generally 12 months, and then they all go live weight fat to St Boswells like you saw at the mart. We wanted the cattle because it complements the farm style. We're growing a lot of our own barley. We can grow good heavy barley, which we used to sell farm to farm. And people kept coming back, so it was good barley for fattening cattle. And yeah, we wanted the muck to go back in our own land. We were selling straw. We wanted the muck to be going back in our land, get our organic matter good and high, good healthy soil, buy lots of muck back in. We had the grass and sheep, because the dad and Uncle James have always lambed sheep. We found we were getting sort of a surplus of grass in the middle of summer, where the store cattle just again come in, complement that. They'll take that surplus of grass in the summer, because we need sheep. Really, we need a lot of grass for lambing time, March, April, and then we can tighten them up in May and get some cattle out. And in September for topping time, we bring the cattle back in early, get them in the shed and get them finished. It just seemed, we found they've sort of hit the ground running with us, and the system really does work really well. It seems to work quite well. We try and buy Limousin heifers. We get on well with the continental breeds because we're sort of a high input, high output system. Lots of feed at them and get them big, shapy animals. Good. Try to hit that butcher's market, and the butchers want a Limousin cattle, so we have to give them what they want. And the exact same principle comes to the lambs. We are just giving the butcher what they want. They want a good meaty carcass, plenty flesh. So yeah, we are now, this year we dropped the Suffolk sire, so now we are all Texel or Beltex sire over. As of next year, we'll be 100%. With 100% of the flock will be a Texel cross ewe, so it's a Texel out of a Cheviot cross mule, a Cheviot mule, and we get on really well with them. Yeah, they make a really good sort of butcher's lamb, and that's what we're striving to produce here. So yeah, keep the butchers happy by giving them what they want and a good product that we're proud of. There's no better feeling than to be selling to butchers that are just a stone's throw away from where you're farming. So this year we've had the butcher in Duns taking cattle 6 miles away. Briggsy, a fantastic, me and Briggsy have worked together for years now, and he takes a phenomenal amount of stock from us, and really, and then Louise Forsyth over at Peebles, she this year especially has been taking a lot of our stock, which makes me very proud. Yeah, I think the butcher is an essential part. I mean, you can't just serve that on a plate. I mean, it's an art getting that to this beautiful steak, fillet, ribeye, sirloin steak, just getting that association between what we produce, and then they take that and they put their angle on it and make this fantastic Scottish product, which we all know and love. We get on really well with the live market. We do dabble in the dead weight market, but we find we like to breed the animal, and then we're with it the whole way, and we like to be with it there. And also when it goes, we're with the whole way. We like to represent it when it sells, stood by it, and be proud of what you're producing. And also we feel through the live ring gives you a very good sense of how you're doing. If you're up there getting the highest prices, you know your stock's good. It's the competitive side to it almost. We like to be, and it's almost egging each other on in a way. Like if someone beats you this week, you're desperate. What can we do this year, next year, to have a product that'll beat them? So that's that does drive me quite a lot. That competitive edge to the live ring. Just trying to have the best stock and putting it on show in the ring for everyone to see as it goes under the hammer. There's something about that I quite enjoy. So today we had another big draw from West Newton at the mart. We had another 100 hogs go under the hammer, and delighted with how they went. 5 of them going to my good friend Briggs at Jedburgh. Very much appreciated. As I said earlier, just looking at that report at 5 o'clock when it comes out of who's done best, I'll be keen on that. I'd quite like to think we've done quite well again, but there was a lot of good stock in the market. We had two nice butcher's heifers today. One exceeded expectations. Really went to Louise Forsyth at Peebles. A really nice Limousin heifer. So I'm sure she'll get on very well, and I do appreciate the feedback she gives me. She always tells me, how it's doing for her business. Yeah, it is lovely to be getting a good price for what you've worked so hard to produce.
Andrew has developed a strong relationship with Ryan Briggs from Briggs's Quality Butchers, and he is keen to continue selling his cattle and hogs to support local businesses.
Hi, I'm Ryan Briggs and I own Briggs's Quality Butchers in Jedburgh. It's a small high street shop and we employ 7 people. Morning at the market starts off with a good breakfast, to be honest with you. That's the main part there. First thing we do is go get a breakfast, get a catch up with all the farmers, see what they've got in. I like to find out who's got what and what kind of numbers. And the big thing is who's been feeding their hogs mainly. I like to find out if the hogs are grass fed or if they've been on hoppers with a wee bit extra feed. It makes a massive difference, especially to the kill out ratios. Then we'll go down and we'll check the pens, have a look round. I've got my base of farms and places that I like to buy from, so I usually go and check them first just to see if there's any that kind of tick the boxes. And then we start around about 9:30, the sale starts. Recently the ring's been full of buyers, so it is quite a hot place to buy in the morning. The good stuff is really pushing a good price at the minute, and we tend to fill up on what we need probably mid to late sale, just sitting back and waiting on the right stuff to come through. I buy for 2 or 3 other butchers as well, so really fitting the whole aspect of what we need, good shapy carcasses. Like I say, being well fed, I don't mind having a wee bit extra covering on it because it's easier to take off and you can't add anything on, so I'd rather buy something with a wee bit extra covering on it. Price point right now, it's definitely up a little bit compared to what it has been at the start of the year. Farmers, farm-wise, I think they're getting a little bit of joy putting that wee bit of feeding into their hogs, compared to the ones that are just finished on grass. And really, we were paying that wee bit extra for these well-fed hogs. Then we got on to the beef ring. So we're down checking the pens. Again, for what we're looking for, we tend to stick to the same half a dozen kind of farms, but that's no saying that we do check the other pens. I do like to stick with the same people just for the consistency side of it. I'm getting quality beef at the minute from the same kind of places, so sticking to that's kind of the safe point. Again, buying for a couple of other butchers. Everybody's after something different, so getting a wide range of cattle from the lower end for the production right the way through to the top end, and sometimes the top prices, just for the shop counter. Sale usually starts around about 1 o'clock, 12:30 to 1 o'clock, and again the beef ring right now is a lot hotter than what the hog ring is. Prices are at an all-time high, but again, it's kind of where it needs to be for the farmers. It's hard. It's a hard one to kind of take at the minute as a retailer, as a butcher, because we are paying some seriously high prices, and it's hard to kind of turn that into a product that we can make a profit on. But at the same time, being on both sides of it, I can see that the farmer does need this price. So it's something that we're going to have to kind of get used to as a, not just a retailer, but the consumer needs to understand that food does need to be that wee bit more expensive, or we're just not going to have any. Buying through the live auction opposed to deadweight through a wholesaler or a dealer has its benefits in the way of the traceability. I like to speak to the farmers and find out exactly where that beast has came from, if it's been homebred and finished, or if they bought from a store ring like Boswells. So we've got the traceability side of it, but at the same time it's kind of, you're getting your name out there with the local farmers, and again you've got the kind of Southern Reporter and other newspapers that are really backing it up at the minute, and they're putting it in every week where the local butchers are bought from and where a lot of the local finished cattle are heading. Getting into the buying live and coming to the auction ring was kind of, it started when I was really young. I'd done a few shifts in a local shop in Hoyk, and it was Mary, she was really big in buying live at the ring, and again the traceability, it was always native cattle, and that's really what she focused her business on, and I seen that was a successful way for her to really go against the competitors, because a lot of her competitors were buying from wholesalers, and it was the same places, these big finishers every week, where she's picking and choosing exactly what she would like. So that kind of got the interest in it. And then when I did eventually take on the shop, we were always buying from the same places every week, which is good because you're getting a consistent product, but at the same time I wanted to widen her horizons. I wanted to see a lot more stuff and where I could get a quality product from. What I'm looking for, it varies from week to week, and it depends on the season and the time of year really, because I've got my customers that really do like the native bred cattle with really nice fat cover, marbling throughout the meat, but at the same time my everyday customer, which is a big thing, is they're looking for lean red meat. They're not looking for this dark, well marbled meat. Because of the way the consumer is now, it's how we've almost been brought up in the last few years, is looking for a bright red, lean meat, just supermarket shoppers. So my everyday customers that really are looking for lean red meat, whereas I've got my customers that I know if I do get a native beast in, I'll go knocking on their doors and I'll let them ken that I've got native cattle in because that's what they like. Like I say, it does vary every week to what I buy, but I consistently buy probably one native beast to 3 continentals. Networking at the market's massive for me really. Not only am I building a relationship with the farmer, but I'm building a relationship between the farmer and my customers. The customers are starting to get to know these different names, different farmer names, farm names, and they know what they like. For example, if I'm buying from Andrew Dixon at Whitsome West, they know they're going to get a nice quality, well-shaped, lean cut of beef. Whereas if I'm buying from like a Neil Gibson at Willowford, it's native cattle, so it's only 6 miles from the shop, and it's good, well-marbled meat. So the customers are starting to build up that relationship as well as me, and I'm gaining a lot of custom from the local farmers now. Something we've had in the past, but never to the extreme that it's at now. The best way to keep promoting the industry is really keep being consistent. I've said it 100 times before, but consistency is key. We need to keep the customers buying the same week in and week out. The quality is there, the traceability is there. It's the food miles are very little, to be honest with you. Any butcher that's buying here at Boswells anyway are buying within 40 miles of their shops. It's massive for the industry as it is, especially in this small area, but to keep promoting it, we just need to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, we're probably at the bottom of the pile compared to these bigger supermarkets and wholesalers, because price is a key point now, but I think people are willing to pay for the quality, and really this whole support small businesses and shopping local, it's getting bigger and bigger.
What advice would Ryan give to farmers and crofters finishing cattle and sheep for the butcher's market?
From the butcher side of it, the only really thing I would say to a farmer is finish. Finishing is all about 50% genetics really, but 50% of that's about the feed. It's hard to explain, but seeing a carcass from a farmer that's not feared to put the feed in and kind of speculate to accumulate, put that little bit extra feed into it, put that wee bit extra time into it, and you're going to get 100 times better price, which also means a higher profit. It does cost slightly more to finish a beast well or finish hogs well, but again, you're going to get that better price and you're getting the better kind of yields out of them, which is massive for the butcher side of it.
Join us next week where we continue with the Farm to Fork theme, visiting sisters Gina and Jamie at Long Newton Farm, and we get a behind-the-scenes insight into the craft of butchery from Louise Forsyth at Forsyths of Peebles.
Thanks for joining this edition of the Farm Advisory Service Crop Update. Harvest has actually started in the earlier regions and we're in a period of really quite catchy wet weather with very heavy showers. So if that continues, it's going to be quite a tricky harvest. We've had really heavy thundery dumps of rain in some areas, so quite a bit of lodging showing around the country. And for some particularly early wheat crops, that earlier period of dry weather, this rain has come a little late. So they are rolling and just beginning to go off quite rapidly. So the feeling that harvest is perhaps a little capped in terms of yield by that dry earlier weather. We're still seeing quite a bit of disease, and again, sadly, that very wet weather is really conducive for ear diseases in the cereal crops. So we're seeing sooty moulds, which tend to not be that damaging to yield. But of course that wet weather as well is a driver of fusariums and mycotoxiums. So that's important both in terms of the mycotoxin risk in the current crop, but also in terms of the disease that will carry into seed crops for next year. So just that message about testing varieties or buying certified seed for the crops that you're going to start drilling later in the summer. Septoria levels still with us in the wheat, and that feeling that when we go round trials this year, we're really at the limits of what chemistry can do, and some of the more resistant varieties are holding up better in terms of Septoria management. Clearly that wet weather again, it's a driver of other diseases, so the beans we're in now, we have quite high levels of chocolate spot quite early, and again fungicides are struggling to manage that with the usual mid-flowering sprays. And potatoes, again, we started a period of Hutton periods, so those risk periods for blight in early June, and we've had several, as normally follows those Hutton periods, we've had examples of blight, so just managing those very tightly, it will be crucial going forward. And a final message, we don't often talk about weeds on the crop update, but we are seeing more blackgrass. So as you're walking your crops at the close of the season now, just check for blackgrass. It's such a problem south of the border. So sort of that opportunity that we have to get on top of early clumps of blackgrass is really important. So familiarise yourself with it and just watch out for it.